Let's dive into the nitty-gritty.
Longlegs was released on July 12th, 2024, which in our timeline is like 6 months ago. I think this is the quickest we've ever ended up recording an episode after a movie came out. Though I feel like Pig was fairly recent after
that was pretty
it came
quick.
out.
Yeah, I think it had like very recently hit digital when we did Pig.
Yeah, so there weren't like a ton of there wasn't a ton of information about Pig when we were talking about it. There is a ton of quick facts already out there for Longlegs, as we'll get into. Not that it really helps because this is probably not going to come out for 6 months, but but in our timeline, we're recording on January 19th, within 6 days of January 14th. So, follow the cipher.
Yeah, that'll make sense in a bit.
Had a budget of under $10 million. No concrete number that I could find anywhere. We asked this, I feel like, on our last episode on Dream Scenario. Like, do they have to publish the budgets anymore, or is it public record anymore? That just said under 10 million. I know that they spent at least 10 million on the marketing. Mm-hmm. So you take the marketing and the budget. So the making the movie was under 10 million, but the marketing was over 10 million. Clearly, if you were paying attention when Longlegs came out on the internet, especially, it was everywhere.
Yeah, ads all over the place.
But it grossed $127 million, which is crazy for this kind of insane fever dream acid trip of a movie. $127 million. I feel like it was all word of mouth and the viral marketing.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the marketing getting tons of people excited, intrigued, and then the word of mouth was good.
I feel like Ari Aster has this ability, like, I don't know, it's just like a Kendrick Lamar song drops and everybody's like, oh God, I got to check it out no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with Ari Aster. If he produces it, he directs it, he writes it, whatever, it just becomes kind of a thing that people have to check out.
Well, it was an A24 movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Neon and A24. Yeah.
Yeah. They're both like stamps of quality. Even kind of breaking into the mainstream more, I think, now. And so I think just that coupled with like, hey, it's Nick Cage in a role you'll never recognize him in, probably just was like the perfect storm of getting people interested enough to see this one.
Yeah. This was only the second time that Cage has worked with Neon. He's never worked with A24 until now. The first time he worked with Neon was on Pig. So pretty good track record so far. Though Pig didn't make any money, but it was an amazing movie.
It also wasn't marketed the same, and I don't think it just had the same. Yeah. Even if you watch the marketing for Pig, you'd be like, okay, it's old Nick Cage as a John Wick thing, I guess. I don't know. This was like, oh, it's Nick Cage as a serial killer in some creepy ass role. We're not even going to show people what he looks like. So
yeah, this was only projected to gross $7 to $9 million. That was what they thought it was going to make. I feel like even after the marketing, they were kind of like, well, it'll do better on streaming. We'll make our, the budget back for the movie when it comes out in theaters. But this is going to go straight to streaming pretty much immediately. But it debuted with a $22.4 million opening weekend and ended up going on to be Neon's highest grossing film ever. It actually doubled Parasite, which I feel like Parasite is, a very well-known movie at this point. Yeah. Ended up winning Best Picture, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's pretty impressive.
Foreign picture, maybe?
That was the guy who made Snowpiercer, right? That same guy.
I don't know.
I don't
want to say yes, but it sounds like that sounds right.
Yeah, I think so. I was not a fan of Snowpiercer. I hated that movie so much. I know that gets me canceled.
That's one of those
there
movies
in the world
you can't
of nerds.
say shit about. You can't say bad stuff about, apparently.
I hated that movie.
My favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. I mean, we'll move on. This was written and directed by Osgood Perkins, who is the son of legendary Psycho star Anthony Perkins, guy who played Norman Bates, which I feel like everybody knows who that is. Even if you don't watch movies, you know who Norman Bates was. So you've seen Anthony Perkins' face. Mm-hmm. Oz has acted a bit, mostly in small parts in films such as Legally Blonde, Not Another Teen Movie. He was in Nope, and I believe he's going to be in The Monkey, which is the movie that he's currently directing, or I guess has just finished directing. Based on the Stephen King adaptation, or the adaptation of the Stephen King short story. But my favorite Oz Perkins role was in a movie called Quigley, which is a movie from 2003 where Gary Busey gets turned into a Pomeranian.
Yeah, that's a movie.
Which is exactly what you think it would be. Just a dog running around going, butter sausage. I love butter sausage.
How's it made? Where does it come from?
I wrestled a bear once. 600-pound black bear.
Oh my God. That's been so fun to make that movie.
Anytime you get a chance to go into a sound booth with Gary Busey, oh my God, that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
What is he going to say next? Why has he not delivered one of the lines on the script? We've been here for 3 hours.
Oh, God. The IMDb page and like the picture. The thumbnail for the trailer is just it's Gary Busey in a dog collar.
Yeah. Just watch the trailer.
Yeah, don't watch the movie. Just watch the trailer.
I think I've seen a YouTube review of it from some people. Yeah. So yeah, it's like one of those cult movies.
It's one of those how the hell did this get made type of movies.
Obviously shot on like home video, digital video camera, Birdemic style.
It reminds me of did you guys see The Talking Cat? It's like
no, I'm thinking of that one. Is that Kevin Spacey?
No. No, it's Eric Roberts. But it was clear that they like recorded it at his house and like with a microphone across the room from him because the freaking cat's voice echoes like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another one that I've seen like the YouTube reviews of. So I'm like, I feel like I've seen that one. Yeah, that's the one. I was getting them confused, but I've seen videos for both Quigley and the Talking Cat.
The Talking Cat is it's something. It's a good one. Thankfully, Oz switched from acting to writing and directing, and has gone on to direct such horror films as The Black Coat's Daughter, Gretel and Hansel, and of course, like I mentioned, he's currently working on an adaptation of the Stephen King short story, The Monkey, which I've already seen some trailers for. Looks like it's going to be kind of on par with Longlegs as far as look and feel, but I think they're going more for a comedic tone on it. I don't know. Maybe that's just the marketing so far, but I think Longlegs has done wonders for Osgood's career.
Oh yeah,
we'll see where he's going to go from here. But it kind of seems like he's going to catapult from the success of this film, if The Monkey does well, I guess. This was shot by Andres Arochi Tinajero. I think is how you say his name. Relative newcomer who has mostly shot films in Mexico with a handful of shorts, music videos, and ads under his belt, but recently shot a film called Sun, S-U-N, which has, I think, only debuted at film festivals at this point. I think it was released late last year, but hasn't come out wide or hasn't come out to streaming or anything like that, but it has pretty rave reviews from the people who have reviewed it, which again, I'm guessing are mostly film critics, people who saw it at the festival. Edited by Greg Ning and Graham Fortin. Fortin has mostly worked on shorts that I have never heard of. Guessing same kind of thing like film festival stuff. And then Ning has worked on a ton of small projects that I have also never heard of, except for an episode of 30 for 30 and Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever.
My favorite one.
That's the best. Grumpy Cat? That's the best. That's a talking Grumpy Cat.
We lost a national treasure.
Yeah. R.I.P. Grumpy Cat. And then music was by Osgood Perkins's brother, Elvis Perkins. It's just unfortunate names up and down in that family. Osgood and Elvis.
Yeah.
But he did the music under the pseudonym Ziegler for this movie. He's only worked on his brother's projects up to this point. So I think he only has like 3 credits. And I think he went by Elvis Perkins on the first 2, but decided to go with Ziegler on this one. So maybe he was tired of getting nepotism thrown his way and wanted to get more work. I will say the music in this is amazing. So
yeah, I really like it.
You wouldn't really know that it was just the director's brother who jumped in.
Yeah. So that's probably good. Make a name for himself.
Yeah. I would hire Ziegler. But as you can tell, it was a very small production. Writer director combo, and then just a handful of people who have mostly only done shorts up to this point. Nothing major, under anybody's belt. I would say, aside from Micah Monroe and Nick Cage, you didn't really have a whole lot of heavy hitters in this thing.
Yeah, everybody else are like character actors.
Yeah,
like Blair Underwood and Alicia Witt. But man, I know you and I talked about this offline, Patrick. But this is what happens when you let people who are talented come together and trust them to execute on their vision. Yeah, and we're losing that a lot right now in Hollywood, especially with some of the bigger pictures out there. So this was such a refreshing film to sit down and watch. And God, I just hope that he keeps him and guys like the gentleman that made Pig. I hope they just keep getting opportunities to tell stories, because we're starting to get some good writers back and good directors back into Hollywood that aren't just pumping out garbage.
I think movies like this are really encouraging, because this was an indie film under $10 million and it made 127. It was like there is an interest in these types of smaller productions and more challenging subject matter, or at least like movies that are not cookie cutter, don't fit into the mainstream, very unformulaic, which is always been the strength of indie film throughout history. And we've kind of lost that a little bit with physical media going away. They don't really have the return on investment anymore that they used to. So they're they used to green light movies that cost $3-4 million like crazy back in the Miramax days. We can't really talk about them much anymore, but honestly, I feel like something has been missing since Miramax stopped being a thing. And
predatory molestation.
The Weinstein Company went away.
Well, I think we just hit a sad point in time where we had these huge blockbusters. I mean, I think Marvel really kind of changed how people in studios were looking at it. They wanted these massive franchises that they could tell a story over 10 years. And then you had COVID hit and people not going to the theaters, and then trying to still capture that big audience. I don't know. And just maybe rushing projects along and not really letting people tell the story they want to tell, or in some cases giving people way too much creative freedom, and then they put screaming goats into a movie for 2.5 hours.
Or make a musical to Joker. Nobody wants to see.
At least they're trying something different. I don't know.
Plus then you had to coincide with every studio creating their own streaming or trying to get their own streaming thing or try to figure out how to make money on streaming. So it's like the movie theater ecosystem's like completely being torn apart, overhauled, tried and put back together to try and figure out a way to make money that also aligns with consumer practices. So it's a weird time.
It is a weird time. Now that you mentioned
like
the
with these
thing,
movies. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, now that you mentioned the streaming thing, you're right. That pulls away from traditional theatrical releases, and you get a lot of bad movies hitting streaming platforms just so that the companies can get exclusive content out on their platform. Which really kind of waters down the whole experience overall, in my opinion.
Plus, it's harder to gauge the return on investment of it, because it's like, you make a movie that you're going to put on your streaming platform. Like, aside from subscriber numbers, and view numbers, how do you tell how much that actually made for you after you've spent $200 million producing it? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess you look at the numbers. You know, like how many times was that movie viewed?
Right. And how many of those were new people, new subscribers? I mean, I'm sure there's metrics and analytics for it, but
it's a weird ecosystem because you're spending $200 million on a movie, and Netflix is what, $10 a month. So like, how do you really? And that's like, I just don't understand how these companies are able to do that on the back end. And there's good with the bad, but man, there's been a lot of bad that just gets pushed to these platforms so that they can be like, hey, we have exclusive content. That's why you should go with us over the other streamer.
It feels like a lot of these indie movies that you see, like we talk about, they get made. It's like about $10 million seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of these. So it's like, and a lot of them feels like they're expecting them to be a loss at the box office, and then later they'll pick it up just enough with what used to be DVD sales or, syndication to play it on TV or streaming or whatever, just enough to kind of make a profit. And now I don't know what that looks like for them. I'm sure that, places like Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and Amazon, they all still pay for streaming rights to stream stuff. So these movies can still make a profit after that. But when it's something that a studio is producing for its own streaming platform, I don't know what their metrics look like to determine whether or not it is a success.
I think it's still sort of the same model that they used to go for, where they have kind of like their tentpole projects that hold everything up, and then the umbrella underneath is all of those smaller budget films, and they're hoping that, people will come for this big movie, and then they'll stay and watch all of the other smaller movies. I
have to imagine they're expecting a certain amount of revenue from their streaming platforms, and they've built in how much they can grow that by the amount of content they have, and that's what they look for to see if they're hitting. So I don't know. I don't have to figure it out.
I don't know. Hollywood math never made any sense to me anyway.
Yeah.
Ratings. This has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.6 out of 10 on 310 reviews. So that's, on the critic side, pretty good. It's not pig good or some of the other films that we've talked about, but 85% is pretty solid. It's 85% of the reviewers gave it a 6 or above. But on the audience score, it's a 61%, which is significantly lower. We talked about it offline, but I don't think that this film was what a lot of people thought it was going to be. I feel like a lot of people were roped into this by the marketing or by word of mouth, and they watched it and they're like, that was a fucking weird movie. So, I think that explains the audience score. I don't think people thought they were going to an indie film.
Yeah.
An indie weird ass horror movie, satanic story about, I don't know.
I think this is one
Gene
of those
Simmons
films.
and drag going
Gene Simmons and drag. I think this is one of those films that will grow over time, and I think I definitely think it's a repeat view. Like you don't get the full benefit out of watching it just one time. I myself, I've seen it 4 times now, and I think each time I pick up on new things, and each time I have a better appreciation for the film than I did the first time. The first time walking out, I was like, that was a lot to take in, and it wasn't. I went in pretty blind. So when it started transitioning over to the occult stuff and the satanic stuff, I was like, this is not what I thought, but it is still very interesting to me. And I wonder how people are going to reflect upon it when they leave the movie, because it's not Silence of the Lambs anymore. It's turned into this whole other film.
Yeah. Like literally the devil. Metacritic score was a 77%. So that's, again, the critics. That's one of the higher Metacritic scores that we've ever seen. But then jumping back to the audience, we added Letterboxd this year, this season, for better or worse. Letterboxd gave it a 3.4 out of 5. And IMDb gave it a 6.6 out of 10. So those are about the same, on par with each other. But yeah, you can see that the audience didn't really like get to the same place that the critics did as far as, praising this movie and thinking that it was a masterpiece or, something to be studied, which I feel like that's kind of the critics' job, is to be like, hey, this is good. I know you don't think it's good, but I'm telling you it's good because I've been studying film and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Going back to the audience, this one is shocking to me. Cinema score. Whoa.
It's the devil.
Can someone please deliver a doll? Drop a doll off.
Cinema score was a C+, which is really bad.
Yeah.
So
maybe the word of mouth wasn't that good.
Well, I think word of mouth got people to the theater, but then they watched it and they were like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think, how much did it make opening weekend? Because I don't know.
22.4.
Yeah. So it had decently long legs, to make another 100 million on top of that following it. So
I don't really know how to gauge how well this movie did, because to me, this is not a movie I would want to go see in the theater. And this is a very strange movie from top to bottom. I mean, it looks weird. It sounds weird. The story is weird. The way that it's put together is weird. So, I feel like it's not a movie that I would have ever expected to make $127 million. The movies that we've talked about recently, like Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and Dream Scenario, those are the movies I expected to make $127 million.
Yeah.
This is not.
With some star power and a little bit more general audience appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
One thing to remember about this film, too, is they brought it back for Halloween. They did a limited release again for Halloween. And did pretty well during that run, too. So it's like one of those. This is definitely. And the horror industry is very unique, right? Like, or at least horror film fans are very unique. Like, they're very loyal to that genre, which is why movies like Insidious and Annabelle and The Conjuring do so well.
Yeah.
That's where I think a lot of this comes from. That audience is going to love a movie like this. Your average Joe is going to walk in and maybe enjoy the film. It's a good story. It takes some turns that you don't anticipate it taking, but overall they're going to walk out, especially with the way it ends, like, what the fuck did I just watch? Was that a complete story? Like, what did I miss? Right. So I could see an average audience being kind of like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Anecdotally, the only people aside from you guys who I know who've watched this movie and have said good things about it are people who watch like horror movies and love, like House and indie horror and stuff like Hereditary and Annabelle and Nope and all those other stuff. So yeah, it definitely has that audience.
Yeah.
If you'll remember when we did our adaptation episode, it also got a C+. So, I feel like movies that are a little more challenging or a little more, I don't know, out of the mainstream, like kind of cookie cutter style of film, may not elicit the response that people are expecting.
I imagine with the marketing push that it had, a lot of people probably went in expecting something like Silence of the Lambs.
That's the comparisons it was drawing. And it was intentional, right? He wanted to use that similarity of Silence of the Lambs to bring people in, but then deliver the twist and take them on a totally different journey, which for a certain group of people works. For most people, they're like, I just wanted to come watch Nick Cage slaughter people. Yeah, I wanted to watch Seven.
Yeah, I think Seven and Silence of the Lambs were the big comparisons that I kept seeing.
Yeah.
And I guess a little bit. it's got a little bit of like Seven and Silence of the Lambs salt sprinkled on it, but it's kind of its own thing.
It's totally its own thing. Yeah.
We should mention that the film is actually up for multiple Saturn Awards, which are coming up in a couple weeks in our world. So by the time this comes out, it'll be long over. But currently up for Best Horror Film, Best Screenwriting, Best Makeup, Best Production Design, and Nick has been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Best Makeup Design.
Yeah, I'm laughing at Best Makeup.
By the way, we should mention that we've mentioned this in the past, but the Saturn Awards are in no way related to Saturn Films, which is Nick Cage's production company. It's not a way for Nick to just give himself awards. He has won several Saturn Awards over the years.
I was pretty scary in that film. Did you see it? I think I should win.
I think I should be up for all the awards this year. How about Best Horror Film, Best Screenwriting, Best Makeup, Best Production Design?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's not associated.